Hello, WWE fans and the YouTube universe. Welcome to the second episode of the WWE Daily Review Show. Last night we had WrestleMania 32, and personally, it was pretty good. There were some pretty upsetting matches in a way where there was so much excitement and so much build up to these matches that they didn't impress too much. They could have impressed a lot more. So hopefully Raw tonight will be a little bit better. But to explain this a little bit, let me go on to the pre-show really quick. There were 3 matches on the pre-show. Kalisto and Ryback was the first, and that was a big kind of David and Goliath battle, but David pulling out early on and winning the match pretty quick, and rating that match, that's a poor match due to the fact it was just really, really fast. Actually, most of the pre-show was pretty slow and pretty not great. Like, for instance, Team Total Divas versus Team Bad and Team Blondies. Or Blondes. Each team had 5 people. It was more of a way to get Brie out there and to show her stunts and stuff like that. And it was more of a. It was supposed to be a matchup between Brie Bella and Lana, and it seemed like Lana used this as an excuse to get people in. So when she found time to take advantage, that's exactly what she did. When Brie was in the ring, she finally takes advantage of Brie and tries to get to her really quick, and it's like, ow, really? And then after that, you never see Lana in the ring again. She hits once, and then diva after diva after diva, finisher, 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 everywhere. There's a bunch of people going, and then Brie's able to get Naomi into a submission hold and gets her to tap, which, it's cool that even though the fight was only an okay rating at most, that they were willing to let Brie get one more pin at WrestleMania and get one more win, which, submission, which it ended kind of cool. I wish Daniel would have come out, but it was cool to see Nikki come out. It was cool to see her back in the ring. And it seems like she's doing a little bit better. And hopefully she gets a speedy recovery, but it was cool to see Brie at least win one more match. But I wish she would have been more main show title match. But we'll get to that Divas match later on. Finally, the last match in the pre-show was between the Dudley Boys and the Usos, and I did an article earlier on about what I thought about these matches, and I said these guys haven't done much to build up their rivalry, build up the intensity of this match, and exactly put, it wasn't that good of a match. It was, once again, really short. It's like WWE didn't put much thought into the pre-show. They focused more on the main show, which works out anyways due to the fact that you'd rather have the better matches in the main show. The Dudley Boys took advantage through most of the match, but then a couple of super kicks on each of the Dudley Boys, and a quick double super kick gives Usos the win. They pin, and then the Dudleys attack. They're not happy about this, and it ends with the Dudley Boys taking the tables out, the Usos coming back, putting both Dudley Boys onto the tables, and going up on the top rope, jumping off, and putting the Dudleys to the table. Now, the pre-show in itself was poor, but you gotta think about it, it's a pre-show. The reason these matches are on the pre-show is because they don't expect them to do great. It's just to give the crowd something to watch before the main show, which isn't bad. Which The main show was actually pretty good, but they started off slow, and of course, my first expectation for the next match was it needs to be big. It needs to get the crowd into it. The entire crowd's in. There's 100,000 plus people in the ring or in the stadium. It's time to give them something good. And sure enough, the first match of the show is the ladder match. And that was for the Intercontinental Championship. And the first thing most people can expect is that this ladder match is going to be big. Big. The ladder match is between the champion, Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Stardust, Sin Cara, Zack Ryder, and Sami Zayn. Now, this match was more supposed to be focused on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, especially since Zayn is the one that eliminated Kevin Owens from the Royal Rumble match. But, they decided to make it a ladder match, which at first, I think a lot of people were upset that they didn't make the United States Championship match, the ladder match, because a lot of people, including me, thought Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn deserved their own singles fight, but this was a great way to start the show, and I should have expected it. There was a lot of great talent. Actually, I rated the match amazing due to the fact these 7 guys put on the best show of the night easily. Well, there was one match that came close to beating it out, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. There were some amazing moments, like right away off the bat, everyone except Owens, like, rolls under and gets out of the ring and instantly grabs ladders, and Owens is knocking people down, and here comes Zayn with the ladder in the ring, and there was just a really cool confrontation between the two of them, but there were a lot of great moments in this match. Like, for instance, there was a cool honoring moment of Dusty Rhodes by his son, Cody Rhodes, when he came out and his attire had the dots, the yellow polka dots and stuff, and even one of the ladders he brought out had all the polka dots. So that was actually really cool, and it meant a lot. I think it irritated some people when Kevin Owens grabbed the ladder and tossed it out, but that's his character. That's what he does, so you can't get too mad. But I think actually most people in the stadium were cheering for him or Sami Zayn to win the match. There was an awesome moment with Zayn also when the ladder was set up right next to the ropes and all the superstars are outside the ring and Zayn decides to literally jump through the ladder and take everyone down. There was also moments like the Blue Thunder Bomb by Zayn on Ziggler, or Kevin Owens pulling Ziggler down halfway off the ladder and hitting a power bomb on him. Ziggler also had was doing multiple super kicks to like every star that came into the ring, which was a lot of fun. And then Owens and Ziggler, while Ziggler's kicking everyone else, they both super kick each other and knock each other out. And then, no, there were some great moments, like also, a ladder got set up outside the ring and onto the barricade, and there was a confrontation between Sin Cara and Stardust, and Sin Cara was able to knock Stardust onto the ladder. He starts going up towards the belt, and Kevin Owens grabs the ladder and pushes Sin Cara down on top of Stardust, going right through the ladder and literally breaking it in half. So those two are out. There was a Owens hit off top rope on Zayn, by Zayn and stuff like that, but surprisingly, the match ended a little bit differently, more different than what I expected. After Zayn was able to literally nail Kevin Owens' head onto the ladder, he starts going up, and The Miz is able to get him off. The Miz acts all cocky, gets up to the top of the ladder, sits on top of the ladder, ready to grab the Intercontinental belt, and Zack Ryder comes out of nowhere, pushes him off, and takes the win. And then, even though it wasn't the way I wanted it to go, you can't get mad when a match is that great. And there was a touching moment between Zack Ryder and his father. It was his first title win at WrestleMania. So, actually, I think they said it was his first win at WrestleMania. So, it was a great way to start the main show. The next match was between AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. And I only rated this good because these two have put on so many great shows, mainly on Raw and SmackDown, that this was definitely one of their weaker performances, which was still good, but in my opinion, Jericho pulls off the win. And I said Jericho should have won at Fastlane, and AJ Styles should have made his first big debut win at WrestleMania. It would have been a lot bigger. These two were back and forth with the lockups. Jericho constantly trying to get in the walls of Jericho. AJ Styles constantly trying to do the, what's the move called? I'm sorry, guys. I gotta think about this. Styles was constantly trying to do his finishing move. I think it's, yeah, I'm not sure. Well, anyways, Styles Stunner, maybe? No, not that. Anyways, Styles Splash, my bad. And these two put on a decent show. It's kind of hard to top a great ladder match, a great match in general. And, now, there were many great moments, like, for instance, there was a neck breaker on the second rope by, Jericho, which he hit a flying elbow off top rope, but instantly, Styles kicks out like nothing actually happened. But I think the biggest moment was, and it was kind of obvious that this was going to happen, but there was a moment where at the end of the match where Styles was getting ready to jump back into the ring off the top rope to go after Jericho, and Jericho gets up and while he's in air hits Styles with a code breaker, and right after that gets the 3 count. Now, like I said, after everything that's happened, I personally believe this should have been a little different. Styles should have lost at Fastlane and won at WrestleMania instead of the other way around, because it just doesn't leave much to the... hopefully this isn't the ending of the rivalry. Hopefully they get one more fight at Payback and Styles can win at least once more before they end their rivalry. I think it'd be better if Styles went out on top in this rivalry. So, otherwise, good match. Good way to start so far. The next match, the New Day versus the League of Nations. This was, an okay match, but the aftermath, in my opinion, was great. Let me explain a little bit on this match. So, the League of Nations has made it their goal to go after the New Day because they're sick and tired of them, the way they act and stuff. They don't think they're good champions, and they've gone after them on Raw, at Roadblock, and everything like that, with two of them trying it differently on each day and failing. So this is originally I heard it was supposed to be a 3-on-4 match, a handicap tag team match, but it became a 3-on-3 match with Barrett sitting out. So the League of Nations focused most of the time going after the weakest link in the group, Xavier Woods, who still put on a great fight. They took Big E out pretty quick. Kofi comes in with some amazing hits trying to help out his team. And, well, the funny thing is, before I get to this anymore, the New Day comes out of a huge box of Bootios, and they're dressed up as Super Saiyans from DBZ, and I'm just like, no. But it was entertaining. They definitely had one of the more entertaining entrances out of a very non-creative entrance WrestleMania. There weren't very many big entrances this year. But, so the League of Nations is beating on Woods through most of the match, and Big E and Kofi come in and try their best. Tries their best. Like, Kofi comes in and takes out both Sheamus and Rusev and hits with elbows, but Barrett is able to distract the ref, and Rusev's able to actually injure Kofi when he's not looking, and gets a quick 2 count. Big E gets tagged in and sends Rusev and Sheamus over the rope, dives between the ropes, taking Barrett, Rusev, and Sheamus out. But the problem is, once again, like, Rio gets in, hits a backstabber on Kofi, and when there's a distraction again, Woods rolls up Sheamus for a 2 count, gets kicked off, and during the distraction, the ref's not paying attention, and Rusev's able to kick, to attack Woods, confuse him a little bit, and a bro kick wins the match, and the League of Nations becomes the new tag team champions. So the match was okay, but all of a sudden they start talking about how no one can beat them. There is no 3-man tag team that can beat them. And all of a sudden, all you hear is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels music entrance start. And all you can expect is, there's going to be a bunch of big Hall of Famers coming. Mick Foley. And then, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin. They all come out and beat on the League of Nations. And the funny thing is, Barrett's sitting out of the match the entire time. They're not satisfied after hitting all of their signatures and finishers on the other 3, so they tell the New Day to throw him in so they can all attack him. And sure enough, really quick, every finisher hits him. Sweet Chin Music, Sacco, and the Stone Cold Stunner all hit them. New Day comes in and wants to dance with the Hall of Famers. And what do you think happens? Woods wants Stone Cold to dance with him. Stone Cold acts like he's going to. Woods turns his back for 1 second, and a Stone Cold Stunner to Woods. And the beer starts flying left and right. Mick Foley hands off a beer to a fan, and no, the ending was a lot of fun. It was a great moment, a great success rate there. So far the show hasn't gone bad. It hasn't really gone that bad. The fight was okay, but the match, the ending, the aftermath was a lot of fun. Now, one of the most anticipated matches of the night was the next one, Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar, the no-holds-barred street fight. And I'm going to be honest, as you can see, I'm wearing my Dean Ambrose sweater, so I'm a huge fan of Dean Ambrose, but I'm also a fan of Brock Lesnar. I just wanted to see more of a David and Goliath turnout in this fight where Dean Ambrose came out on top, or at least put up a decent fight. And he did, luckily, but I only gave the match a good rating because, personally, and this is just my opinion, I want to see Lesnar do more than suplexes. There were some still cool moves like the suplex off the top rope, and things like that. And actually, yeah, there were still some cool moves, but his suplexes are getting a little old, or they need to be used in a better way. They need to be used in a match where it's okay, it makes sense, because as a lot of people saw, his match against Wyatt and Luke Harper at Roadblock was boring because all it was literally tossing Luke Harper around the ring. 13 suplexes, German suplexes on Ambrose, and it was like... But Ambrose got in some good shots, and another thing that I had a problem with was Terry Funk gives Ambrose a chainsaw, doesn't use it through the entire match. Tries, but doesn't really get to use it. That's okay, don't need to really use a chainsaw anyways in a wrestling match. Then he brings out the baseball bat with the barbed wire that McFoley gave him, and he takes one quick swing, and he gets suplexed onto the chairs that are laying out on the ground. Surprisingly, well, actually, I think at that point he just got beat up. I can't fully remember. But unfortunately, he didn't really use the weapons that everyone thought he was going to. He used a ton of chairs, but that's kind of his weapon of choice. And his choice is throwing in all the chairs out from under the ring into the ring so he can use that to his advantage. And kendo stick, but I think the best moments were either that suplex out the top rope or possibly the fact that they use those chairs with signatures and finishers, like at the end of the match after a dirty deeds onto the chairs. Brock Lesnar hit a German suplex onto the chairs, and then a quick F5 ended the match. Like I said, my only problem with the match, still really good, was the fact that, again, instead of shocking the crowd with a Ambrose win, or at least pulling out a lot of stunts, they were kind of predictable with the match, and the match was kind of short for how much intensity they built up, but they still had a really good rivalry. It might not be done, but if I were them, maybe end it before Ambrose, maybe possibly tonight, asks for last man standing match at Payback. So I guess we'll see. Then before the next match, they did the welcoming of the 2016 Hall of Fame show. So really quick, I want to go over that list. There was the Godfather, Stan Hansen, Big Boss Man, who his family came out, Jaqueline or Joan Lunden, who won the Ultimate Warrior Award, Fabulous Freebirds, Snoop Dogg, and the big one is Sting. Snoop Dogg was the celebrity inductee. The next match, and I also said this in my article that I wrote a while ago, that I originally thought this match was going to be a neutral match, but I said, if anything, out of all the new matches I put as neutral, which could have been good or bad, this one would probably be the best one and shock me the most, and it did. This was the Divas triple threat between Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte for the new Women's Championship. Now, these three girls come out, and I knew this is going to be big. This is going to be good. But then again, when you have all three divas coming in and they all have chemistry together from NXT, they've had amazing matches in the past, and they're all very talented when they're fighting with the right people, and all of them were fighting with the right people. And this match, they pulled out all the stunts. Every single one pulled out major finishers, major moments, and they were going all out. This match was back and forth. You never knew who was going to win. Nobody dominated the match. It seemed like it was even the entire time. They started, like Becky and Sasha started going right after Charlotte, but the instant they got the chance, they turned on each other right away, like, no, you know what, it's every woman for herself. And this is the type of Divas match that makes me think the Divas division still is good. Actually, they were fantastic, pretty much. The match I gave a great, mainly because the ending was a little typical by Ric Flair interfering in the match, but otherwise, these three girls, they put on one great show. These three girls put out all the stunts and made the match a lot of fun to watch. Actually, there were many great moments, like the double natural selection by Charlotte. The moonsault off the top rope, knocking out both, throwing both Sasha and Becky back into the ring and hitting them both with a double natural selection, and yet both of them were able to kick out and only get a 2 count on them. That was a lot of fun. That was cool, and they kept fighting. These girls did so much. It was one of the most entertaining matches I have seen in a while, especially in the Divas division, which I think they're going to call the Women's division now, possibly. But I would have preferred Sasha Banks or Becky Lynch to win, just to change it up. But Charlotte definitely deserves the belt. They all do. But how it came out, I can't be mad, because when you got such a great match, again, you just can't get mad. It's still entertaining, and the crowd was really into it. It's one of the first times in a while I've actually heard the crowd really get into a Divas match. And rightfully so. They had a lot of amazing moments. Like, for instance, the spear by Charlotte on Sasha Banks to take her out. Sasha gets... And then there was also the ending where Sasha got Becky into the bank statement, and then Charlotte comes in and tosses her off of Becky and locks in the figure 8 lock. And when... I didn't realize this until they replayed it, but Sasha actually tried to come back in to stop the submission, and Ric Flair was holding on to her, and that's the only reason I say this is only great. I wish, once again, I really do wish she would have won fair and square. But for what it's worth, that match was great and makes me excited to watch more Divas matches and see how this women's championship goes. So, I want to say, great job to Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks on putting on one of the best shows of the night, easily. Especially when I thought maybe it won't be that great. The next match was another one that they considered a main event match. It was a very important match. It was between Shane McMahon, or as a lot of people like to call him, Shane O'Mac, and The Undertaker. The stipulation was a Hell in a Cell match. If Shane wins, he takes control of Monday Night Raw. If The Undertaker loses, though, he can't fight at WrestleMania anymore. He's done. Well, this was a highly anticipated matchup, especially when Shane came back and they announced this match way before WrestleMania. It was really exciting. Were there some good moves in this match? Yeah, there were actually, especially the coast to coast move that he recreated. He kind of recreated his moment at WrestleMania 17 with his father when he put the trash can on his father. He did the same thing with Undertaker and did a coast to coast into the trash can. And yeah, there were some pretty good moves, but for a match that was highly anticipated, it was slower than expected, which I can understand why some people say maybe Undertaker should consider maybe cutting back a little bit on the wrestling. I mean, it's weird though because The Undertaker had just had a Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell against Lesnar and looked fine through the entire match. He has this match against Shane McMahon and within 10 minutes is getting tired out, so it's kind of concerning a little bit. But these two still put on a good show. Actually, they probably put on the last good show of the night. So there were a lot of slow moments, but they got outside of the cell, which is always exciting due to the fact that people like when there's more chance to get around and maybe get on top of the cell. And the Undertaker, like, Shane goes up with a bolt cutter, and okay, I don't see the point in it. I know he was trying to get out, but it's like, ugh. And all of a sudden, here comes Undertaker, and he picks him up and smashes him through, and the crowd goes, wow! And here's me. Wasn't that kind of predictable? Yeah, a little bit. So Shane and them are fighting. The Undertaker's hitting him with the boots, hitting him with TV monitors, getting back at him for what he did on Monday. Shane did to him on Monday. And one of the highlights of this match was the next thing that happened. Undertaker goes to hit Shane with a tombstone onto a table and puts Undertaker into a sleeper hold. But puts him into the sleeper hold. But Undertaker breaks it by actually putting both of them through the announce table. Then Shane is able to... They're fighting a little bit more outside of the cell, and Shane is able to hit Undertaker onto the other announce table, and he decides, after hitting Undertaker with another monitor, he decides to go up on top of the cell and jump 20 feet down where the Undertaker rolls away, and I think Shane landed awkwardly because you could definitely tell he was in more pain than you can actually fake. He was in physical pain. But the cool thing is he still played it out like he was ready to fight, taunting the Undertaker and getting pulled back into the ring, taunting him again, and getting tombstoned to end the match. Now, the depressing thing is, it feels like they just kind of teased everyone that there was a possibility of someone else taking over Raw, but for what it's worth, it was still a fun match. I wish it would have been a little faster pace, but you got to give them credit for what kind of a show they put on. They did a good job. They did. Next was the only other okay match that I put on here due to the fact that this was it was the third annual Andre the Giant Battle Royale, and it was cool to see some of the people like Diamond Dallas Page, Tatanka, and Shaquille O'Neal be in the match, but when you look at the last two and how well they put it off, like the recreation of the WrestleMania 3 moment of Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant with Cesaro actually tossing Big Show out of the ring, winning the first annual Andre the Giant Battle Royale, to last year's Miz getting eliminated by Mizdow, who's now Sandow, and actually almost beating Big Show for the second win, but Big Show pulling it off in the end. This was a kind of a letdown. It was cool to have these people in the ring, but the Social Outcasts dominated through most of the match, actually. They started dancing in the ring like, yeah, we eliminated Goldust, and we eliminated R-Truth and them. You can't beat us. We're gonna win. It's 4 against. And Kane and Baron Corbin stand up and start taking them out. Mark Henry takes out one of the Social Outcasts too. So you got Heath Slater's out, Curtis Axel's out, and Adam Rose are out, and all of a sudden, all you have left, well, okay, Mark Henry tosses 2 people out, and then he gets tossed out by Kane and Baron Corbin working together. Kane eliminates both Bo Dallas and who was it again? He eliminates both Bo Dallas and Darren Young, but Baron Corbin comes up from behind and eliminates him. Now, I'm pretty sure they did that to give an NXT superstar one big win, but for what it's worth, it was a letdown just due to the fact that it was a quick match and there was no, like, major rivalry going on. It could have been a little better, but it was fun to see some special guests show up for the show. Then the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders came out and they did a dance for the crowd, and out comes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's always fun to see at WrestleMania, to announce that the record for the largest WrestleMania attendance has been broken. And he starts talking to them and stuff and saying that it's really exciting and there's more excitement to come. And here comes the Wyatt family talking about how Wyatt comes out and saying that that Dwayne Johnson is the people's champ and stuff, and he's just one big lie, and they're going to destroy Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he starts insulting them. Major insults, funny insults. The Rock has always had the best insults out there, and he decides, you know what? We're not going to have a fight here. We're going to have a match. Takes off his clothes, and instantly, the person who decides to fight The Rock, and you know this is going to end bad for him, is Eric Rowan. The match starts, and he breaks another record by hitting him with the rock bottom and winning the match in 6 seconds flat. So the Wyatts aren't happy, and they start surrounding Dwayne. They start surrounding The Rock, ready to attack him, and all of a sudden, John Cena! And gets a good reaction. It's kind of fun to see John Cena actually show up when he wasn't planned to be at the show. Like, in the show in any way. They must have done it on purpose. They wanted him to be part of it since he is their biggest star at this moment. And he comes out and they beat up the Wyatts. John Cena hits with an attitude adjustment, and the "you can't see me." The Rock hits with the people's elbow, and they sit there, and Dwayne Johnson looks at him and says, "Welcome back. If you smell what The Rock is cooking." And it's entertaining. It's very entertaining. It's always fun to see The Rock, though, at WrestleMania, in my opinion. He's the most electrifying superstar. next to Stone Cold that they have. Stone Cold, I think, gets bigger reactions, but those two are definitely the biggest superstars that that WWE has ever had in their history. So the final matchup, which is the third year in a row that it's the main event that nobody cares about, and how does it hold up? Well, let's look at it. 2 years ago, the main event originally was going to be between Randy Orton and Batista. They decided to throw Daniel Bryan into the match after he beat Triple H earlier on at WrestleMania 30. Great match. Last year's wasn't looked forward to at first, between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Great match. This year's wasn't looked forward to, between Roman Reigns and Triple H. How was it? It was good. It was predictable, though. Last year was kind of predictable too, but Seth Rollins came out and definitely shocked everyone when he cashed in his Money in the Bank and won the championship. This was very predictable, and one of Triple H's weaker entrances, it started with a weird video, and Stephanie's out there and tells everyone they all have to bow down. They're all sheep. They're all followers, and she owns them all. And she introduces Triple H, who comes out to the greatest entrance of them all, and he does his thing. Here comes Roman, and the match instantly, you can tell most people, even though this isn't what they want Triple H to win. They tried to get everyone to want Roman Reigns to win. Well, it's not a bad match. There weren't too many highlights. There was actually a really good move off the table by Triple H. The flying neck breaker was really good, and Triple H was dominating through most of the match, tossing him constantly out of the ring. And then there was the moment where they were bouncing each other's faces off the announcer table, and you could definitely tell Triple H was going for the shattered nose of Roman Reigns, trying to injure that a little bit more, but that didn't work out very well because Reigns still came out on top. They both drove each other into the steel stairs. Reigns drove Triple H through the barricade with a spear. A great highlight moment. Roman Reigns spearing Stephanie McMahon, hitting Triple H with 2 Superman punches, dodging the sledgehammer that Triple H has, where if he would have hit him, it would have been a disqualification, but Triple H would have held the belt, and getting one more spear to win the match. The problem with this? Little predictable. Actually, very predictable. Everyone saw it coming. And I would say definitely compared to the last 2 years where they actually were able to pull off a match that everyone thought was going to be horrible into great. This year, at most good, maybe a little less. But overall, WrestleMania 32 was still, in its own way, fun. But some of the matches could have been a lot better. And compared to the last 2 years, I think it was a little slow. But overall, you still got to give them credit. They put on some huge upsets, some big moments, and they definitely broke a record. Hopefully tonight's Raw will be a little bit better and give us something to look forward to the next event. So, credit goes out to WWE and the superstars and the staff and the members. Great job last night, and hopefully you guys keep it up. And, yeah. Anyways, that's the end of my show. If you guys have comments or different opinions you guys want to express, I'm willing to listen. And from me to you, hope you guys all enjoyed WrestleMania, and I will see you next time. Everyone have a good day.